There is a moment in every relationship that breaks something open. Not the moment they say they love you, not the moment they met your friends, the moment they go quiet. The moment you send the text and the typing bubble appears and then disappears and then nothing comes back. And you sit there in the silence, wondering what you did, what you said, what you became. Here is the truth no one will say to your face. They didn't stop caring because of you. They stopped caring because caring felt like burning alive. And your presence, your warmth, your need, your beautiful human need for closeness, became the fire they couldn't survive. Most people will tell you they lost interest. Most people will say the spark faded. But those are surface explanations for something much darker and much more tender. What actually happened is that their nervous system detected a threat that wasn't even there, and their brain responded the only way it knew how. It shut the door. It pulled the plug. It dimmed every light inside their chest so the fire couldn't spread. Let me take you inside this for a moment. When an avoidant person feels the relationship getting closer, when the intimacy deepens past a certain threshold, their body remembers as dangerous. The amygdala, the ancient alarm in the center of their brain, fires. Not because you are a threat, because closeness was once a threat. Because early in life, needing someone and being needed became the most dangerous game they ever played. The nervous system learned this lesson before they had any words for it, and now it runs the show without asking them for permission. You became safe. Your love was real, but their body kept treating it like the end of the world. So instead of moving toward you, they moved away from themselves. They numbed, they minimized, they told themselves a story that didn't include you anymore. They went cold not because they were cruel, but because their cortisol had been spiking for so long that the exhaustion became a kind of mercy. They disappeared not because you failed, but because staying present with what they felt for you would have unmade them. So they chose numbness. They chose absence. They chose the quiet lie that they simply fell out of love. Because the truth, that they loved you too much to survive it, was too much to speak aloud. And here is the one thing I want you to keep in your hands for the rest of this video. Stop talking. Not silence as punishment. Silence as a different kind of medicine. Because here's what no one tells the avoidant. Their system only resets when the pressure leaves the room. The chase, the questions, the pleading, the long messages explaining how you feel, all of it keeps the threat alive. It keeps the alarm sounding. Their nervous system cannot differentiate between your love and their trauma. To their body, your warmth looks like the conditions under which they once learned to disappear. So they keep disappearing. They keep performing the only dance they ever learned. But when you go silent, truly silent, not as strategy, not as revenge, but as a return to yourself, something shifts. Not because you're playing a game, because the dynamic that kept them frozen finally loses its fuel. Without your energy begging for a response, their body stops bracing. Without the constant signal that someone needs something from them, the cortisol begins to settle. The alarm quiets. And underneath the quiet, something they buried starts to breathe again. You will notice this. This is the part no one warns you about. When you stop showing up at their door, when you stop lighting your phone up with their name, something inside them begins to wake up. The dopamine that was missing, that they claim went flat, starts to scream. Not because you were the source of their dopamine, because absence is the only language their nervous system respects. Their brain was wired in scarcity. It only learns to want what is no longer available. So they begin to watch your story. They begin to wonder who you're talking to. They begin to imagine a version of you that is moving on without them. And for the first time in the entire relationship, they feel the cold edge of losing something. This is the moment they call you. This is the moment they suddenly remember a song that reminds them of you. This is the moment they text something almost tender, but disguised as casual. Like, "Hey, just thinking about you." And you can feel the heat behind those words, even through the screen. And here is the warning. The warning is not about them. The warning is about you. Because the moment they circle back, you will feel a rush so strong it will feel like proof. Proof that love survived. Proof that you were right to wait. Proof that whatever you endured was worth it. Your dopamine will spike. Your body will sing. You will feel chosen for the first time in months. But nothing has actually changed. What changed is the cycle. They got their space. They re-regulated. They remembered how good you felt. And they will try again. But the same nervous system that pushed them away is still the nervous system they live inside. The same alarm, the same threshold, the same shutdown response waiting to be triggered by your next moment of closeness. This is why staying hurts the same way leaving hurt. This is why every round 2 feels like round 10. Because the pattern has not healed, it has only paused. And pause is not the same as peace. So I am not asking you to disappear forever. I am asking you to choose yourself more strongly than you choose the hope of them. Because hope keeps you attached to a choreography that is repeated too many times to pretend it is new. Let me say it clearly. You are not the problem. You were never the problem. But you can become the solution. And the solution is not learning how to love them quieter. The solution is learning how to stop abandoning yourself every time they withdraw. Here is what I mean. Every time they go cold, some part of you goes searching. You replay conversations. You dissect moments. You wonder if you said the wrong thing or felt too much. You begin to shrink yourself so that they might stay. You begin to perform a smaller version of your love, the watered-down version, the less needy version, the version you hope won't trigger their alarm. Stop shrinking. Stop editing yourself into someone palatable. Stop contorting your tenderness into the shape of their comfort. You are allowed to want what you want. You're allowed to need closeness without apologizing for the need. You are allowed to stop being the person who waits patiently for someone whose body treats your love like an emergency. There is a version of you that exists outside this loop. A version that doesn't monitor their activity, doesn't decode their silence, doesn't rehearse messages they'll never read. That version of you isn't colder. That version of you is steadier. That version of you has stopped collapsing every time someone else goes rigid. Here is the secret that changes everything. You don't have to chase the feeling back. You don't have to convince them they still love you. You don't have to crack their code or decode the timing of their last tender moment. You just have to remember who you were before they went cold. You were someone with a life, with interests, with friends whose names you remembered, with a body that didn't live in its phone, with a nervous system that wasn't constantly scanning for the next sign of abandonment. You were someone whose worth did not depend on whether someone in another room was thinking about you. That person still exists. They didn't die when the relationship fell apart. They were just buried under the need to be chosen. Stop digging for proof. Stop chasing crumbs. Stop treating their occasional warmth like rain in the desert. You are not a desert. You are a person. And the moment you truly believe that, not in your mind, but in your bones, the dynamic flips for good. Not because you've learned a clever technique, because you finally stopped being available for a pattern that was designed to use you up. And when that shift happens, something will surprise you. You won't feel bitter. You won't feel vindictive. You won't feel the desperate need to post pictures of yourself looking radiant so they can see what they lost. You will feel quiet. You will feel heavy in the chest in a way that slowly turns into lightness. You will feel the strange, unfamiliar sensation of being on your own side. That is the identity shift. That is the moment you stop being the one who waits and become the one who chooses. The one who is whole before the conversation begins. The one whose nervous system no longer spikes every time their phone lights up with that name. The one who walks away not because they are hard, but because they are finally soft with themselves. They may come back. They may not. It doesn't matter anymore. Not in the desperate way it used to. You will greet their return not as proof of your worth, but as information about theirs. You will let them show you, slowly, over time, whether they have done the work their nervous system has needed for years, or whether they are returning only to pull you back into the same loop with a different season. You don't need them to come back to be whole. You were whole before them. You were whole during them. You will be whole without them. And one day, maybe soon, maybe years from now, you will read a message from someone who doesn't flinch at your warmth. Someone whose nervous system greets your presence like a reunion, not a threat. Someone who doesn't need you to shrink in order to stay. And the relief you will feel in that moment is not the relief of being chosen. It is the relief of being recognized. Until then, you stop chasing. You stop explaining. You stop auditioning for someone whose body keeps mistaking your tenderness for danger. You choose yourself. Not as a weapon, not as revenge, as a return. As the sound your own name makes when you finally stop saying it in the tone of apology. You were never too much. You were just in front of someone who was never taught to receive what you carry. And now you know. And now you can carry it somewhere it is welcome.